Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Richie O'Leary, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Alec Crowhamel. No Mike today, a little bit busy with, the day one job, the bigger priority in his life, other than this
Really?
podcast, which is crazy, right? Yeah. Anyway, Rutgers Basketball, Harun Zrno, 2025 commit, which is weird to say because he's 21 years old. So coming over from Bosnia, three-star kid, former Indiana commit and signee under Mike Woodson. Mike Woodson gets fired. He ends up decommitting, ends up taking a bunch of different visits. Had Creighton on his list, Kentucky on his list, Villanova, Miami. The latter two specifically, he just took visits to as what was it, 2 weeks ago? I think it was 3 weeks ago, something like that.
I think last week.
Last week, yeah, and he was expected to decide earlier this week, and it sounded like he was Villanova bound. Everyone heard Villanova. Apparently, he even signed a. Well, I guess you don't really sign NIL or LLI. There's too many three-letter acronyms, and they all have an I, they all have an L in it. But he didn't. He was supposedly signed his letter of intent, but you don't really sign anymore. I think it's the financial aid granting agreement with Villanova, but ended up never going public with it. A couple days later, he just commits to Rutgers on the spot, and we're sitting here like, what the hell? So Harun Zrno, that's basically the backstory. But Alec, what do you think they're getting in him?
I guess the biggest thing that sticks out is his shooting. He shot 44% from the three-point line on his professional team that I'm not really going to try to pronounce because I will definitely butcher it. But out in Bosnia, I have heard that league doesn't have the best competition. It's, more – I want to say it's kind of like equivalent to like a D2, I want to say. So not the best competition, but he really showed out. He averaged 17 points a game, some pretty good volume as well. Shooting 44% from the floor. Looking at his highlights, he has a good release, quick release, gets up into it quickly. He's pretty good on the move too, as that release stays consistent. Overall, just a pretty strong shooter in a bunch of different facets. He can get off screens. He can spot up. There's not a ton of creation with him. It's more of just like spotting up things like that. But he seems like at 6'7", he has some good size at the guard spot. I guess my main concern again would be the creation. There isn't too much there. So especially when you consider that Rutgers has had some really good shooters in the past that they brought in and just haven't been able to have them produce. So that's, I guess, the biggest question for me. Is there going to be enough looks manufactured for him in the offense? So that's my big question. I think he'll compete for a starting spot at 6'7". He could probably start the 2 or the 3. Obviously, defensively is probably going to need some work as a freshman, as most freshmen do. But there's definitely some things to like here. I think there's also something that you can maybe unlock with his passing. Granted, we've only watched highlights, but the passing highlights do look pretty good. Where he's in space, he can find a guy. He has some pretty good accuracy on his passes. So I think there's something there with him. I wouldn't expect him to be like a 20-point per game scorer instantly in the Big Ten. Probably if you can get like 8-9 points a game out of him, I think on relatively good efficiency, like a 45% from the field, like 35% from 3. I think that's a realistic ask from him. But he has professional experience playing out in Bosnia. He is 21 years old, so that's I guess that could be a benefit. He has the age, he has the professional experience. Probably becomes the best shooter on the team. I remember I posed that question a little while ago. Who's the best shooter on the team? Now we have an answer. I think it's all about how the Rutgers offense can set him up for good looks and get him some good spots. So this is a pretty good addition. I think it's the best one of the offseason. When you look at his pedigree in the professional ranks and who was after him, and who he was originally committed to, another Big Ten team. So obviously a lot of different programs think he's a high major player. How long that takes for him to be a standout high major player, I guess we'll have to wait and see for the development. But yeah, I definitely like this get.
Yeah, no, definitely their best get of the offseason, in my opinion. Same as what you hold on. Didn't mean to do that.
Lost the headphones.
All right. There we go. I can hear myself again. All right. Anyway, knocked my headphones out. Definitely the best get of the offseason. I actually really like his game. There's a couple things, like really good shooter, like you said. I think he doesn't move super fast. He's kind of a step slower than most guys out there. And that's kind of a given for just about every European guy coming over to the U.S. It's just a faster paced game. So he'll have to adjust a little bit there, but he's lengthy. He's tall. He's actually really good off ball. The cuts, like he just knows the cut basically anytime there's an open lane. whether it be a backdoor cut, whether it be right off the top of the wing. Like he's really good in that aspect. I think that will help. Who's going to facilitate him and get him the ball in those cuts? That's a big question mark. We still don't really know. Staff wants him as their starting two guard. So you get a lot of length on this team now. You have Harun Zrno, 6'7", 6'6", whatever you want to call him. Darren Buchanan, 6'7", Dylan Grant, 6'8", Bay Fall, 7 foot, 6'11-ish, around there. So a lot of length between those four guys. I can't say the same for the point guard spot because it's a little bit different. They're a little bit smaller, but yeah, I mean, his shooting is phenomenal. Quick release, good form. Now what I was told is basically they're expecting him to be their leading scorer, and that's where you kind of lose me a little bit. But then again, I look at the rest of the roster and I'm like, okay, that actually kind of makes sense. I just don't know how much you can kind of depend on him to be that leading scorer. I do think the one concern is his lack of creativity in terms of creating space. This Bosnian league's not good. Like you said, it's probably like a D2 level ish. So it is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But if you could set him up for just spot up threes, I mean, he's just going to rip them and just hit them nonstop. The 46% from three last year. That's insane. Like 18 points per game. So I mean, he can score. Well, I'm really curious to see how he fits into this team. But yeah, I mean, I think a damn good get.
Yeah, and when you look back at, like I said, there are questions about how it fits into the offense where they couldn't really get those same looks for a guy like PJ Hayes or Zach Martini last year.
That's the concern.
Yeah, that's the main concern is how he fits into the offense. But I mean, you don't see a 21-year-old true freshman at all. And I guess Steve Peichel saw all of the hype that Illinois was getting for just owning the Balkan area and bringing it in. I've always said, I've said this one time, Champaign is basically the Balkan of the United States. There's, but I guess he saw it and said, I want to get one as well. I do think it's interesting that there seems to be a little bit of panning of his instant impact. But at the same time, you have someone like Villanova or you have someone like Miami, who Jay Lucas is one of the best recruiters in the country. Kevin Willard has been able to get a lot of guys to Villanova instantly and is also a really good coach in his own right. So it's like the dynamic of like, we don't know how good he is, but also a lot of good coaches wanted to go after him. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what he looks like. Yeah, you mentioned the cutting. He showed a lot moving off the ball and also setting himself up for good looks as well behind the arc. I do wonder how good of a finisher he can be in traffic because a lot of the highlights that we're seeing, he's setting himself up really well with a backdoor cut and a well-timed cut or something like that. But it's mostly open looks at the rim. So we'll have to wait and see how he looks in traffic, and especially in the Big Ten, which probably the most out of like the major conferences is more of a throwback style of basketball where it's a lot of post play at the rim, traditional bigs, things like that. So he's going to have to battle with that. But I mean, the production in the professional ranks, granted, not a very highly regarded professional ranks, the production's there. He has plenty of experience. He also played in the 2022 under-18 European Championships, Division B, averaged 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. So he's done it at a couple of different levels. Again, I also kind of like his passing. So I think there could be something there as like a secondary playmaker, especially considering the point guard spot so far it isn't looking the strongest. Maybe something as a secondary playmaker. I promise I'm not saying this because he's a white guy who can shoot. I kind of see a little bit of Cam Spencer in his game where he's not the fastest, but he gets to his spots well. He has the quick release. He also has a little bit of passing upside. We saw it with Cam Spencer a few times as well where he could set up other guys. So yeah. I mean, I don't think he's going to play as well as Cam Spencer did at Rutgers. Just want to be clear about that, at least not instantly. And he's also bigger than Cam Spencer was, so it's not an exact one-to-one comparison. But in terms of play style, I kind of see a little bit of something like that. But yeah, I definitely like this get. Again, the question is how well he fits in the offense, but I think as a player, this is a pretty good ad.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the shooting ability at any level, it's like even it is a not so good Bosnian level league or professional league. I think if you could shoot at any level of the game, especially with a hand in your face, you're a shooter at the highest level. Now the issue is creating that space at this level. Is he going to have that much space? Because there's a lot of open looks in this highlight tape. Are people going to set him up for success? Are you going to set off ball screens and get that guy open on the wing? That's to be determined. But I think the cutting ability is there. I think the length is there. The shooting's there. Defensively, this is my other main concern is we know in the past, like Jaden Jones, hell of a scorer. He was projected by Rothstein and several others that to get double-digit scoring, double-digit points per game in his freshman season at Rutgers. Didn't end up playing because he couldn't play defense. Is Peichel going to be okay with this if this kid can't play defense? Now, he looks okay getting his hands in passing lanes in this Bosnian league. But again, this is like Division II basketball. So it's not going to be like the Big Ten where players are just going to be smarter about it. They're not just going to throw the ball when they see you right there. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm intrigued to see how Peichel uses him. I do think this is, again, their best get of the offseason. 21 years old, so he has experience. He has experience at the professional level, mind you, whatever level of that professional is at D2, not D2. Just a really good get. Like I'm really kind of excited about this one. This is a shooter, and they needed a shooter. Now, how did they end up with him? Like it sounds like before, like I said, it was just more of he was all Villanova. He didn't even visit campus. Like Rutgers was after him when he originally decommitted. I'm sorry, before he committed to Indiana. They were interested in him, trying to get him on a visit. Weren't able to do it. A bunch of other schools got him on visits. Decommits from Indiana. Starts taking other visits. I think he visited Creighton. He visited a bunch of teams in January. I forget who it was, actually. Let me pull it up real quick. He visited. When did he commit to? Oh, I'm sorry. Right before committing to Indiana, he visited Wisconsin, Virginia, Indiana, and Creighton. After the Indiana decommitment, he visited Miami and Villanova. Out of nowhere, Rutgers commit. Sounds like there's some NIL involved. And these European guys, I don't want to say they're cheaper, but they're still going to cost you a pretty euro. See, they're still going to cost you a couple euros here and there, but they're not going to cost you as much as, say, a kid that averaged 19 a game and shot 45% from three and at the low major level. This is going to be a cheaper version of that. I still think he's probably going to cost you around like $400,000 or $500,000. Whatever they did, it sounds like their offer basically just topped Villanova's or was similar to Villanova's. And we know one of the big major factors in his recruitment was he wanted to play and he wanted to play early. He doesn't want to wait around. He's 21 years old. He doesn't really have time to wait around. And we know for Villanova, he would have came off the bench. We know for Miami, he probably would have came off the bench. Whereas at Rutgers, he's just starting to almost immediately. So pretty good get.
Although in this case, it actually is not the euro. It's a pretty convertible mark. That's the currency in Bosnia. I just Googled
convertible mark?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it cost him a couple convertible marks. What's the transfer rate on that? Just out of curiosity.
One Bosnia Herzegovina convertible mark equals 58 cents, I think. 0.58 United States dollars, so 58 cents.
So theirs is actually worth more than ours. Wow. Okay, interesting. So that is a long name for your currency.
I'm sure it's just abbreviated to marks or something like that.
Yeah.
Which,
that's fine. Anyway, other news basketball-wise, Big Ten schedule for Rutgers has technically been released in terms of home only, away only, and the 3 home and away games. Kind of just immediate thoughts on that one. Could probably pull it up for the people on YouTube.
I guess the big first thing that sticks out, it seems like possibly, I mean, we don't know for sure, but it seems like Michigan State's finally going to have to come back to Jersey Mike's Arena for the first time in 4 years this season. They haven't been back since they lost by 20 in that 4-game win streak. But yeah, they'll be back. So we'll see how Tom Izzo and his reloaded squad competes there. Also, they swapped the West Coast trip. It's to Los Angeles this year, and then Oregon and Washington are coming to Jersey Mike's Arena. So I'm assuming they're going to do that every year, where they should go back and forth between which West Coast trip they go on. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure for UCLA and USC, they're probably going to. For Washington and Oregon, excuse me, they'll probably play Maryland, Rutgers, Penn State, or some combination of those three, like back to back or back to back to back, if it's all three. Yeah. Similar to how Rutgers does it with the 2 West Coast schools, just going back to back.
Yeah, I mean, pretty cool. Lathan Somerville coming to town, kind of a pretty notable there. We'll see how that one ends up playing out. Who else? Indiana. Harun Zrno gets his little revenge, I guess.
When was the last time? Was the last time Indiana came to? Last time Indiana came to Jersey Mike's Arena, was that? Oh, that was that early January game. The night of there was supposed to be like a gigantic storm that hit like directly on top of New Brunswick. It was like a state of emergency and everything. That was a wild.
Jeez, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Is it that long ago?
I mean, it was last season, so I'm assuming that, like, they were at Assembly Hall last year, so, and then the year before they were at Rutgers. So
that is true. Looking at the rest of it, I mean, pretty solid actually. Away slate. I mean, obviously Hawkeye Carver's pretty hard. Ann Arbor's not easy. Illinois is tough, but the rest, I'm minus West Coast, so that's always going to be tough. But Wisconsin, Minnesota's
probably going to be good.
Yeah, that new coach, new roster basically too. I like getting Oregon, Purdue, Ohio State, Indiana all at home. That's huge. It doesn't sound like there's going to be an MSG game this year, which I think a lot of people might be happy about. I actually don't like that. I like when it's an MSG. I think it's cool. It builds a cool atmosphere, and there's a lot of hype behind it. But if, God forbid, the team's not good, it's probably not a lot of hype around it. So I do understand it a little bit. But neutral site games, I don't think we're going to get one. I don't really know yet. It's too early.
I mean, there's still the players era, at least for non-conference. At least
you're right. They are still in that. I know Prudential had some kind of deal or has some kind of deal with the players in terms of NIL. And I think part of that deal on like an unwritten handshake agreement was that they would go to Prudential Center to play a game. We'll wait and see if that ends up happening or not. I think the past 2 years they did it because it was Mississippi State the year before?
Yeah, Mississippi State and then Princeton this year.
Well, it wasn't supposed to be Princeton technically, but other than that, what else we got going on? That's really it, right? I mean, Turnkey ZRG is now the new search firm for the athletic director, so they're getting involved with that, which means if I had to guess, pure guess at this point, is that means that the president is probably known who it's going to be behind closed doors. And I might just be speculating completely. But they were supposed to announce it April 25th, and they didn't. So I have a feeling that maybe that first option didn't work out, a.k.a. maybe Phil Murphy said no, as was hinted at in an NJ.com article recently. And they're moving on to option 2, which means they probably have their president in place, if I had to guess. You also should have it in place considering you're a month or 2 months away from actually having him do the job.
Yeah, considering it is April 29th, and when did Holloway announce he was going to step down? Probably, like September?
Yeah, something. Let's see, actually. Jonathan Holloway announces stepping down. September 18th.
Yeah, so September, and you haven't had a full-time the athletic director step down in August, so it's taken a little bit, but it seems like we are getting one step closer to that finally being resolved.
Yeah, it took almost way too long, to say the least.
Almost. I don't know about almost.
Well, definitely. Yeah, that's fair. There is a 10-person advisory committee. I just noticed Hollis Copeland's on it.
Yeah, I think I said that to you before.
You might have, and I might have missed that completely. Amy Towers, I believe, is on it. If I saw... No, actually, I take it back. She's not on that. She's on the President Search Committee. Marco Battaglia, Meredith, I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Civico, field hockey coach is on it, which was interesting. More Rutgers Board of Governors, CFO. No one, no offense to other people, but no one else of really note. And Holloway, it says in the press release, will be working with the Board of Governors and help name his successor. Good thing, bad thing, I don't really know. That's up for debate.
I do think it's interesting. I mean, I assume it makes sense to have a coach on the athletic director search committee because that's who's reporting to the athletic director. Yeah. I guess it makes sense to have Meredith Civico, considering her program has probably has the most continued success and most consistent success with field hockey. So it makes sense.
Turnkey ZRG, the search firm, has helped athletic director searches at Iowa, TCU, Pittsburgh, SMU, Northwestern. Also helped the search for new Big Ten commissioner, the NCAA president search, Big 12 commissioner, NAAC commissioner in Tim Pernetti, which, hey, little connection there. I'm just saying, if he wants to come back, wouldn't be opposed.
I don't think so. I think that might be long gone.
That bridge is long burned.
I believe they're actually located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. I don't know if that's like their actual headquarters or if they just have like an office in New Jersey, but I guess that also makes it a bit of a logical decision.
Fair enough. That's pretty much it. You got anything else before we sign off? A little bit of
I know
a
you
shorter
had
pod.
you had an update on an outgoing transfer for football.
Oh, multiple outgoing transfers for football. Let me see. Mohamed Toure is at Penn State as of last night. He will be on his visit this morning. I know Penn State is very intrigued by him. They definitely need a linebacker. I've seen people on our board say that like there's no way he goes there and plays, and I'm like, they need a linebacker just as bad as Rutgers does, pretty much. So he will not only play, he would probably start if healthy enough. Is he healthy enough? Right now, no. Will he be healthy enough by camp? That's the big thing. We know Rutgers wanted to keep him, but they weren't going to break the bank for him either. 2 ACL injuries, same knee. It's tough. I know Penn State's going to check out. Uniquely qualified to talk about this. Penn State is going to check out his knee, see what's what, go from there. He's supposed to go to Miami on Wednesday now. He was supposed to visit Miami yesterday. Ended up pushing it back for Penn State. It sounds like he wants, obviously, Penn State's closer. His brother's there. He knows what's what over there. He knows what his role would be, basically. So wait and see like that. Indiana also pursuing. They're probably going to get him on campus later this week, probably on the weekend, if nothing happens with the Penn State and Miami visits. So stay tuned for that. Florida State, Syracuse, others also reaching out. Johnny Shepard, Shedrick Rhodes. Didn't think they might end up at the same place, but sounds like they might. Both going to be at Temple as of tomorrow. I know Temple is high on the idea of a Johnny's dual threat ability in the Casey Keeler offense. We know Casey Keeler is a pretty good coach. He brought in a couple good transfers at Temple. And if you're Rutgers, you don't want a great Temple, you want a good Temple, because that is a prime poaching ground right there across the street from your house. So you want a good Temple, not a great one. So you don't want them to be as bad as they were under Stan Drayton, but you want them to be like who's before Stan Drayton? I don't even remember. Jeez.
I mean, they had a few. They were basically a feeder program for other Power 5 coaches.
Jeff Collins, I think. I mean, some of the Temple. I guess none of the Temple transfer. No, Christian Braswell worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. David Nagugu didn't really work out. Who else did they have? There was a defensive lineman, didn't they? From Temple.
Thought
they were.
I think so. So I just dropped my phone.
I can't remember. I mean, some of the Temple transfers do work out. Like Arnold Ebiketie made the league after Temple to Penn State and then drafted, I think, too. There was someone else. Either way, it doesn't matter. You want a good Temple, so then you can kind of go poach.
It was Afani Maije.
Yeah, and he was pretty solid.
Yeah.
So look out for Temple and some Rutgers guys. Other than that, basketball related. Quincy Doobie has accepted his first coaching job, high school ranks. He'll be coaching True North Classical Academy down in Miami, Florida. I'm assuming that's where his son goes to school. I know his son's a pretty highly ranked, or not highly ranked yet. He's a pretty highly touted recruit in 28, 29. I forget what it is. But I'm eager to see what he can do on the EYBL circuit. He'll be on this summer, so something to watch out for. But he's their assistant coach and director of player development, just announced as of today.
Nice.
Yeah, Who knows? Maybe down the line you get him back. Maybe there's your GM right there. Probably not, but.
Also on the coaching front, actually, this just came through a couple minutes ago. Florida Gulf Coast hired a new assistant coach. They hired Will McIntyre, who spent 1 year at Rutgers, from the women's side, I should say. Was the what exactly was his role? I forget what exactly his role was, but he'll be an assistant coach there. He was the director of scouting and technology at Rutgers this year. He came in from Iowa, where he was grad assistant and a manager for the Hawkeyes. So yeah, he gets his first assistant coaching job. So congratulations to him.
Nice. Last but not least, I have to go back and forth between football and basketball because I'm just remembering stuff. Flip Dixon, minicamp invite to the Buffalo Bills. Malcolm Ray, minicamp invite to the Kansas City Chiefs, where he will be joined by Christian Dremel. I don't know if we mentioned Dremel recently on yesterday's pod, but Dremel got the Chiefs and the Giants. He will be attending both. They are different days. So Cole Schneider, Detroit Lions minicamp too. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I was kind of shocked by that one a little bit. But he had a pretty good college career after leaving Rutgers. So sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, different level of the game, obviously. So good for him. Yeah, just extended that pod 5 minutes somehow. But cool. That's pretty much all I got. Are we officially done?
I think that's all I got. I don't think there's anything else.
All right. As always, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below on YouTube if you're watching us on there. It's free, it's easy, it's simple, helps us grow the pod. Alec, finish off.
I just remembered something. I guess since we don't have Mike here, I guess we'll push the draft challenge winners to our next podcast. But
yes, I think we're still technically waiting for Aaron Lewis.
Yeah,
we don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, so I guess if he does get a look in with a mini camp or an undrafted free agent contract, then we'll probably go through the winners. Hopefully, I don't remember exactly what my entries were for some of the guys that just signed in the last couple of days for mini camp or anything like that. But I have a bad feeling I'm not going to finish as a winner.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually even had Dremel getting a mini camp invite, to be honest with you, but he got 2, which is good for him. I hope he gets a legitimate shot. And it's with my Giants, so I wouldn't be mad if he made it. We'll wait and see. Other than subscribing down below, don't forget to do that. Give us 5-star reviews on whatever podcasting app you're listening to us on. Apple, Spotify, Google. I don't even know what other podcasting apps are out there, but there's probably a million. Also, if you have not signed up for Rivals yet, TKR, Rutgers.rivals.com, B1G3F. Promo code gets you 4 months for $10. Check it out now. If you are a current student at Rutgers, we are offering comps to those that are interested in joining. So hit me up, whether it be email, RURICHIE@gmail, or at Rutgers Rivals, and we will issue you that comp as long as you send us back your email at Rutgers.edu email address. That is all. Check it out. Look, unbeatable season advantage. I didn't write these things. They're all corny, though. But that's pretty much it. That's enough for me and Alec. That's another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.